The win was never in doubt, but Ireland's fight made England work hard for the second half tries. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. England managed to cross after 2 minutes in this one. They're camped on the Ireland line. They've got penalty advantage. They're out on the right. Then we have powerful carries from both Powell and Muir. Gets them close to the line. They come further in field. They then put it through the hands out to the left wing. Beckett is lurking out there and she goes over in the corner. Converses missed from out wide. 5-0 to England. Then we have some stout defence from Ireland. It's keeping England from adding to their score, but then a superb pass from Aitchison unlocks that Irish defence and puts Hurd over in the same corner. England generated a very quick ball and allowed them to create the space out wide, and then that pass from Aitchison was spot on to exploit it. Conversions missed 10-0. England then strike again from the back of a maul on the 10-metre line just inside the Ireland half. Beckett bursts through a hole and then wonderful one-handed offload out the back of her hand puts Hurd away. Looks like she's maybe going to go over to score, but Haney, the tight head prop, does really well to get to her, tackles her, prevents the score. But then England have sucked in a lot of Irish defenders. They've got space and numbers out on the right. They spread it out there and Kildun goes over. Conversions missed. We're at 15-0. It's not long then before England are camped on the Ireland line again. Ireland are standing up in defence, but England are just relentless and Marley Parker gets over. Conversion missed. 20-0. England then add a maul try just before half time, talling the score. Tuma converts this one. 27-0 is our halftime score. Ireland then keep England scoreless for about 30 minutes in the second half, not offering that much in attack, but you can see that there's great determination there. They're not letting heads drop. And one of the problems Ireland had, I think, was anytime they did get any ball, they just couldn't, they had a couple of problems. Like, one was handling errors, moves breaking down and stuff. Another one was just being able to keep that momentum up, because the England, they're not just a great attacking team, they're also really good defensively as well. They can stop you in your tracks, and they can also apply pressure and cause errors, and they were doing that to Ireland when Ireland were trying to get a foothold in the game and offer something going forward. But that Irish defence did really well to keep England out for so long in the second half. Then, with just over 10 minutes to go, England attack from a line out on Ireland's 10-metre line. They get it into the midfield quickly, and then Sarah Byrne comes on a burst. She offloads to Rowland. I thought immediately when I saw that's definitely a forward pass. Rowland finds Kildun, who then goes over to Donald Down. Timo checks it in the background though, and the ref says that, forward pass, and a try is chalked off. But then England do strike a minute later. Beckett with another strong carry close to the line. Irwin and Monaghan do well to halt her. Then Carson with another strong carry stopped just short. England then they decide to, they were kind of using just pick and carries or one-out runners. They decided to go a little bit wider from the ruck with 2 passes, and that's enough to put Reid over under the post. It's converted for 34-0. Talling then on the burst from a line-out. She finds Byrne, and England back knocking on the door again. Nice hands from Cabella, puts Matthews under the post. That's converted for 41-0. Matthews then gets another with a clock in the red. So basically, England, they've got a scrum right under the Irish post. They're, basically demolishing the Irish scrum, and then Matthews goes off the back of that scrum, gets over to score. It might have been possibly a penalty try if they'd kept the ball in the scrum. it's hard to tell, obviously, with scrums, because sometimes you're just going to get a penalty, or sometimes you're going to get a reset, or other times, it is going to be that penalty try. But this is converted with a 48-0, and that was our final score. So let's have a look at some stats from the game. Possession, 37% for Ireland, 63% for England. England, when they have the ball, it's very, very hard to actually get it back off them. And a lot of the time you're getting it back when it is a restart because they've scored. But, as I said, Ireland for periods in the game, they did really well to keep England out, turn them over, but then, couldn't really do that much with the ball that they had. Territory, 35% to 65%. Again, Ireland spending most of the game in their own half, and on rare trips into the England half. Again, errors or just pressure from the English defence meant that possession would be turned over. The points per 22 visit, 0 for Ireland, obviously, and then 3 for England. So 3 points per visit is very good, but it's not actually as high as England's average from the first 3 rounds, which was, I think, 3.9. So Ireland did well in that respect. And again, like a lot of people, I think before the game were just saying, Ireland just need to try and keep the score down, and they did a good job at that. Passes then 87 for Ireland, 237 for England. So 150 more passes for England. As I said, they held onto the ball really well, and even when they went through periods where they weren't scoring, they were patient with the ball. And this England team doesn't panic; they just trust their processes, and they go through their phases and they probe at the defence, and then they find those gaps and exploit them. Handling errors, 9 for Ireland, 18 for England. So England making more errors, but they had way more of the ball and way more touches as well. But Ireland, those 9 errors, they obviously didn't stop them from winning the game or anything like that, because just look at the scoreline. But they did stop them from maybe having a bigger impact in terms of maybe even just getting a score for Ireland would have been something to celebrate, or to at least to build on for them, but wasn't to be. Scrum then 78% for Ireland, 100% for England. So Ireland, the scrum has been one bright point through the tournament. At times, like they looked okay in the scrum, but they did give away 4 scrum penalties overall, and that scrum at the end where England were just kind of marching through them as well. But it was a good examination, I think, for this Ireland scrum that's gone well against the other 3 nations that they've played so far. So I think they will learn from this, and that scrum will just get better. England, though, amazing, like 100%, 4 games in a row is some going for them. Line-out steals then, 0 for Ireland and 3 for England. Ireland's line-out not great, hasn't been great, all tournament. Nicola Friday, though, like she's really has put herself forward. She's taken the most line-outs in the competition to date. But one thing I feared about that was that England would be able to put pressure on it because they knew who the ball was going to, and that coupled with some poor throwing, miscommunication and stuff like that allowed England to get those steals. And line out is definitely an area where Ireland still needs to work on, but they're a young team, they're an inexperienced team as well. All this stuff is going to come with time. It's not just going to be overnight fixes for stuff like this. And as the players have talked themselves about, it's about just making improvements game on game. And I think in some parts of the game you can say that coming up against the strongest team in the world and in the tournament, they can take some pride from their performance. at least. You know, it's not all doom and gloom for Ireland. I think that's important for them. But in terms of the two teams, where are they? So, as I said, Ireland, I think they can take heart from this display, especially that second half period when they kept England scoreless for so long. But there's still lots to be improved for them. There are signs that the team are beginning to gel as a unit, and obviously that's going to get better the more these players play together. And this is the toughest it's probably going to get for this team. Like, coming in as a new team against a team who are absolutely on fire, who brushed aside pretty much everyone before them. Ireland at probably their lowest ebb, certainly that I can remember in the women's game. And so, yeah, I think this is probably as tough as it's going to get for this team. And now they're out the other side of that, and they can focus on, going to Scotland and giving themselves something to, be proud of at the end of this tournament. England, they arrived in Ireland with everyone basically, already handing them a record victory before we'd even kicked off. But they started well, and then in the second half they were patient. When they weren't getting the scores, they still they went through their phases, and they were still creating chances, and there was no kind of forcing things or anything like that you might see from the other teams. They were just they knew that the scores were going to come eventually. It's not a record win for them, but it is a comprehensive win, and I think their toughest test is going to be next week when they face France in front of what is going to be a world record crowd at Twickenham.